to recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Impact Force series session. I am Jyotsna Bitra, and I lead the marketers user group, and I'm the founder of the Impact Force series. And today we have Igor to discuss about a little bit about his Trailblazer story, and he's going to share a lot of tips on how to write the resumes, how to prepare for the interviews, and how to build our brand virtually. Igor has a lot of tips for us today, and I can't wait for the session to start. Without further ado, let's welcome Igor. And Igor, I'll turn it over to you. Take it over.
Thank you. And I'm so glad to be here today with you guys. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right. So my name is Igor Kurti, and I'm a Senior Salesforce Product Owner at Aetna CVS. I also co-lead Salesforce Chatter in Minnesota. Love doing volunteer work as well, as part of our HANA. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. It's right there. Also, I'm pretty active on Twitter, which we'll get into that later. But until 2 years ago, I did not have a Twitter account, and I didn't make my Twitter account. Trailblazer made it for me and said, you need to be on Twitter if you wanted to get informed of what's happening in the Salesforce ecosystem. So it's a little bit about me. I would like to start our presentation talking about how to build a virtual brand and a Trailblazer's journey. Hopefully, I can share some tips and some challenges that I faced, right? At some point in time, I did not work in the Salesforce ecosystem. So one of the things that I had to face was the famous, I don't have experience. How do I break into this ecosystem? And I had, a couple extra odds against me. I have, not been in the IT world. I have a degree in horticultural background, and I'm also from Brazil. So, I had all the odds stacked against me. I'm not from here. I don't have a degree in IT, and I wanted to get in the Salesforce world. So off we go. My path to Salesforce was not straight. It went through a lot of different turns, and I had to find a lot of different things. So I was born in Brazil, and I moved to the US about 18 years ago. So it's been a while. I went to college for agricultural engineering. So I used to grow tomatoes and coffee beans and all those kinds of things. One thing that always was interesting to me was data, and I kind of specialized myself in plant breeding. So I got into heavy statistics and genetics, kind of like a crazy scientist, if you may. My university in Brazil had a very strong partnership with the University of Minnesota. So I came here to do an exchange program and work in a greenhouse for about a year. The greenhouse decided to hire me as a full-time employee because I was, really active in managing their projects, doing all the imports and, all the research and partnership with the university. So until this point in time, I was only working with horticulture, nothing IT in my life for my whole early career. At some point, after I got my green card, I decided to go ahead and really, follow my passion. I love computers, I love IT, and I thought, how can I do that? So I quit my job like crazy. The next day I was unemployed. Crazy move that I did, but was one that, really paid off. I started, working in a Brazilian restaurant as a server during the days, and I went back to college, and I got 2 mini MBAs. And there was part of a program through different workforce centers. Each state has one. I know they have rebranded, but there are amazing counselors out there for folks, that are looking to do the switch. They helped me, with tips to build resume. They did mock-up interviews. It was really good. Also, I don't know if that program is still happening. It used to be called Adult Learning. Government will give, $5,000 to go to any college and get some kind of education to fill in the gap, right? In my case, I was coming from agriculture and I wanted to go into IT. So I got the mini MBA and a mini Master of Lean Enterprise to really get to know that business piece. Then I found my first job at this company here in the Twin Cities called Merrill Corporation. And I started there as a project manager, nothing with Salesforce yet. This company was working on migrating all their functionality out of SharePoint into Salesforce. And that's how the first time I heard the word Salesforce. I used to hate SharePoint, guys. That SharePoint was not made to do what they were trying to do. So I was part of the kind of pilot group for the Salesforce implementation, and I fell in love with Salesforce. I'm like, wait a minute, I can have all my projects here, all my tasks, all my follow-up with my clients, right? I was kind of like an account manager / project manager at the time. I'm like, I want to learn more about this. So very quickly, I became one of the power users, and I used to ask, one of our admins, hey, I need a report that does this. I need a report that does that. Can I get a report and a view and a dashboard? And they're like, okay, no, here you go. Here's some Trailhead for you. You go there and learn how to do this and build your own stuff because, you're asking too many things. So the company then opened a position for another Salesforce admin. And I was like, I want to work with this. This is really cool. And that was my, first entry in the Salesforce ecosystem. And over there, I became a Salesforce business analyst, right? As we all know, we always have to put our, hats. And when someone asks for a field, first thing we should say, why do you need that field? And I always say, use the 5 whys methodology, because pretty soon you're going to find out if they need that field or if they don't, right? A field is expensive. I fight tooth and nail for fields with my stakeholders because I want to keep, the org nice and clean and not end up with a page layout with 400 fields that no one knows what's going on. Moving forward, I kind of got my first certification 6 months after starting that job. And I kind of went dormant for a while there. I did not get too engaged in the community. I kept, just working. And I decided to apply for a different job. And a friend of mine, we're going to talk about networking and how important networking is, told me, hey, we have a position open at UHG and I think you'd be perfect for it. And I was like, oh, I don't know, right? Like, you guys are a really big company. I don't know if I want to go into that corporate world. Anyways, decided to go ahead and apply. Went through the interviews, turned out to be a good match, and I became a Salesforce business analyst there as well. We went through a gigantic lightning migration, and during that time I came to learn agile methodologies, and my boss decided, hey, really like the work you're doing here. I want you to be the product owner for this instance. So I became a Salesforce product owner, and I kind of went on a conversation with him where I said, I don't know if product ownership is what I want to be doing. So let's do this, right? I'll be a product owner for 6 months. If I'm not good at it, let me go back to be a BA and I will kind of follow like more the architect path, more technical. Turns out I really enjoyed and it was fun. Then moving, forward here, now I just joined Aetna as a senior Salesforce product owner because my passion is Service Cloud. And the instance that I was in wasn't really leveraging all the functionality from Service Cloud. And now I found my jam, like omnichannel, email to case, CTI integration. That's what I love in Salesforce. And that's a little bit of my story there. So
And
what I want to,
sorry to interrupt, Igor. I'm really inspired by your story. Your career trajectory is so phenomenal. And this is interesting and inspiring as well. May I know how long did it take for you to start in Salesforce and arrive at the position where you are right now?
as I was saying, I started at Merrill in 2014, worked there for 4 years, then 2 years in United Health Group, and then I'm just 3 months now with Aetna. So it took me about 6 years. Like I said, my start with Salesforce was really slow and I wasn't that involved in the community. Everything changed when I went to United Health Group and I met some really awesome folks in the community. Kristen and Stuart from Minnesota, they are both user group leaders. They really get me started on a lot of the Trailhead and the community engagement. Also Bonnie, and now she works for Salesforce. She's a Red Women coach. She also, really helped me. Hey, you need to go to user groups. You need to go to meetups. You need to get engaged in the community. So here's where really the change happened for me. Does that answer your question?
Right. Yeah, that's great, Igor.
All right. So what I hope to do today is walk a little bit through, how can you get from here right to really have that engagement with the community, and hopefully find a job that you love. So I'm gonna move the next slide. So first thing, about building your brand is figuring out who you are, right? Which areas of work do you excel, and what motivates you, and what type of projects you want to work with. For me, when I was starting my Salesforce career, it became fairly quickly and clear to me that I did not want to be doing the development work. I don't know how to write code. I don't know if I would be good at it. So figuring out the things that you want to do versus the things that you don't want to do. I love going to a whiteboard with stakeholders and map out their process, right? And say oh, let's break this into a feature for phase 1 and phase 2. What that process looks like. That's where I excel. Bridging that communication between sometimes the developers and the business, right? Putting in terms that they like and understand. I can spend hours doing that. Nowadays, we work on a agile methodology called SAFe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's just a way to do agile. And every quarter, we spend 3 days, 8 hours per day in a room with all the business partners, the directors, the VPs. We go to whiteboard and we just map out everything we're going to do in the quarter. I get out of those sessions not tired. I get out super excited. That's what motivates me. And again, you need to figure out who you are. So I always say, think about, a compass and a map. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't know where you want to go. If you don't know, where do I start and where I want to go. So asking those questions is really important as you start thinking, about building your brand. Especially, like I said, Service Cloud is my jam. I love Service Cloud. That's what I like to do. And, I hope to always, find projects tied to the Service Cloud area. The other thing is, determine what you want to know, what you want to be known for. So very important, right? Build a roadmap, in a short term and a long term, I would say. The next 3-4 months, I want to start, let's say working with field service, or pick an area of Salesforce that you like, or pick some kind of different things. Some folks, just work with Lightning components, and they are known for building Lightning components, right? Some folks in the Salesforce ecosystem are masters of automations. Some other ones are masters of UI, UX design. What do you want to do, right? It ties back to our previous slide. Also, I forget that's supposed to be assess your strength and your weakness, and uncover skills and traits that make you distinct. What makes you different, right? What do you have that makes you different from the other candidates? Super important. Salesforce has something called a V2 Mom. Have you guys ever heard of V2 Mom? All right. And I'll be sharing mine with you guys at the end of the presentation, because I think that's important. I'm gonna shift here really quick. If you haven't done the Trailhead for the V2MOM, it's right here. It's really good if you go ahead and do that. I just completed mine recently. I've been doing mine for a while, but I've noticed I've never really finished the Trailhead until this point. But it's a really good thing to do. Also, organize yourself, right? When I'm studying for my different certifications, or thinking about projects in the future, I always like to kind of have a roadmap. A tool that I came across that I really like, and I'm not sponsored for them, but I like something called Notion. So when I'm studying for my different exam guides, I like to, really put in paper, everything about that exam, and I go, into the badges, and I take notes of everything, things that I want to review before and after. When I go learn, a new certification, I just don't want to pass the certification. I want to make sure that I get it and I know how to implement that, right? I want to have that deep knowledge of that area of Salesforce. So it does take me some time to take, some new certifications because I do study, quite a bit for them. Even when I do like a super badge, I tend, to write down all the steps that I did and, how did I do, or if there's something wrong, right, what happens. I think, having some form to organize yourself as you join, those different things is good. Like I said, I use Notion. You can use OneNote. You can use anything, but that really helps you with that. Then you need to learn how to grow your online presence, right? You might be really good at your area, but if recruiters and hiring managers cannot find you, or they don't know how to find you, you're not gonna get the jobs. You're not gonna get to apply for those different positions that you want. So it's very important that you make easier for them to find you, right? Also, learn your audience. For example, in my case, right, product ownership, I'm more, working with those directors and VPs and understanding, the strategy side of things. If you want to grow into like, an admin or BA, right, find that audience there. I use 3 tools: LinkedIn, Twitter, and the Trailblazer community. And we are going to be covering all of those now. So first one is your LinkedIn profile. Super important that, add the picture, put a background. I like this one from, I think a lot of folks use this one. It just showcases, right, in a picture, your certifications. I'm a ranger working to be a triple ranger. I'm also part of the Lightning Champions program, and I'm also certified product owner. Your header over here, should have keywords that make it easier for recruiters to find you. I don't know if you guys know, but recruiters have special LinkedIn accounts. It's called LinkedIn for Recruiters, where, think it's like Salesforce search on steroids. They can put keywords, range to find, hey, I want to find a Salesforce admin 50 miles from this place. And, they get those returns back, right? If you don't have your LinkedIn profile organized in a certain way that makes those keywords pop, they're not going to be able to find you. So super important. I did not have a LinkedIn profile for until like 6 years ago. Can you believe that? Yes, I did not have one. So I'm going to hop here to my LinkedIn profile. Like I said, make sure that you get that organized. Write something about you. It's important, right? Again, to have that storytelling when you're building your personal brand. It's super, super important. I try to link mine to my Twitter and my Trailblazer profile, right? Making it very easy for the recruiter to click here and see how many certifications I have, to be able to go to the actual page for Trailblazers. And, Igor has this many super badges and he's involved in the community, and we're going to cover that a little bit better. Also, something that I didn't do for a long time, and I say this is super important, all the way down here, you have recommendations. I was really bad at that. And I would recommend that you ask for recommendations as you complete different projects. This is really, the place where a lot of recruiters come to see, oh, okay, in this case, I worked with Heather Polifka. She was VP of Marketing at United Health Group, right? And we work on their Lightning migration. She wrote a really nice recommendation. Think of recruiters coming to your LinkedIn page and they're going to start, looking at those things. Having those super important. So as you complete, different types of projects, ask coworker or your client to put in, a recommendation for you. I've started to get better about that. But that's for your LinkedIn profile. Make sure you also follow, folks, the Salesforce ecosystem. I follow a lot of folks. It's a really good place to, get updates. We just heard about Hyperforce this week, right? So LinkedIn is popping everywhere with, different posts on how that technology is going to impact all of us. Next is your Trailblazer profile, same as your LinkedIn profile, right? Write something about you. Make sure you have a picture in there so you can be recognized. Try to link that to your other different social medias. You can see, the Trailblazer profile also links to your LinkedIn and your Twitter. So another really good place. Some recruiters are getting very specialized now in Salesforce because Salesforce is booming. A lot of different companies are using, so they are starting to look at your Trailblazer profile, and we can take a look at mine. So kind of same thing as my LinkedIn, I write something about yourself. I like to do Trailhead now, and I'm working being a triple ranger. I follow different folks within the community. I try to answer questions. This is when I learn the best. By answering questions, I actually learn more. It's like a two-way street. I say, between mentors and mentees. Some days you're the mentor, some days you're the mentee. So, try to be active here, right? Like I mentioned, here's the source of truth for your certifications, also your super badges, and all the different things that you're having here. And I have a question from Rena. Out of curiosity, do you put your Trailblazer ID in your resume? Yes, I do. At the top of my resume, I put my LinkedIn profile and my Trailblazer link as well, because those are the two main things that I have on my resume. Really good question. Also, make sure that you really fill in your profile, right? I love some apps on the App Exchange. I had the pleasure to work with these three. They're some of my favorite apps. Write reviews and so forth, right? Show that, hey, as a professional, you know this product, right? Salesforce, you're engaged, you look at new functionality, you look at new apps that go out there, right? If there's for example, an app like Conga that already does a lot of things and we have a use case, why would you build one in-house, right? What's the pros and cons of that instead of just going and purchasing an app on the App Exchange? So things, that will really help you build that, knowledge of the industry. Next is Twitter. Like I was saying, I did not have a Twitter until 2 years ago, and this is a funny story. I was like, oh, I already have Facebook and Instagram. Do I need another social media, taking time of my day? Well, I learned that Twitter is where everything Salesforce happens. And I'm so glad that I went to a Salesforce Saturday here in the Twin Cities. And I learned a ton about Python. I had a use case in our org where we could not install demand tools, and they were doing like this series of Python classes to learn how to dedupe your org. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. And when I went there, I was like, how do we know more about, events that are happening in the Salesforce ecosystem? Like, the folks in there knew everything. Like, Dreamforce is happening this day, and there's this user group that's doing this, and there's the Salesforce Saturday doing that. Oh, data dreaming is happening here. I'm like, I'm so out of the loop, and I don't know anything. And they're like, well, you have to be on Twitter. So I remember handing my phone to Kristen, which is my co-leader here in Minnesota, Salesforce Saturday. She took my phone and created my Twitter account for me. And I was like, all right, now you show me how to use that. And she showed me how to use that. And wow, Twitter was a huge game changer for me. I went from knowing nothing about Twitter to now I think I probably use Twitter more than my LinkedIn, because Salesforce just posts so much on Twitter. It's insane. Like between the Salesforce admins account and the Trailhead account and the Salesforce one, and then you have, all the Salesforce community leaders like Leanne and Mike Gerald. It's just insane the amount of information that you can get on Twitter. So I had to get a Twitter account, and we can go take a look at my Twitter here too. Same thing as your LinkedIn. Make sure that you have that consistent experience, right? No matter if the recruiter or the hiring manager is looking at your Twitter or your LinkedIn, your Trailblazer profile, you're telling them that story. You're telling them who you are. Make sure you use, again, the proper tags to be easy to find, right? This point in my career, right, I want to find jobs, as a product owner. That's where I'm taking my career. Again, 2 times ranger, all those things should be in there. One thing that after I started following a lot of folks, I don't know why Twitter is doing this, but I follow a lot of folks. I started getting a little bit overwhelmed with Twitter, and I was like, gosh, how can I, be efficient and not spend more time than I need to get the information that I want? And I don't know if you ever have done that, but there's something called lists. And this is something that I love. And I have 3 different lists, and this is my quick and easy way to get updates from Salesforce. So I love automation. I think it's one of the best things in Salesforce. So you can, add certain accounts to your lists. So when I need to learn about, what Apex hours and, what some CTAs are doing, what types of new things are out there, I can come here and take a quick look at it. When I want to learn more about, broader Salesforce updates, I added the Trailhead account here, and Mike Gerald and a couple, Jennifer Lee, we'll talk about her too, part of their blogs. So this really helps me organize my week, when I need a quick snapshot of, okay, what's new this week on Twitter. Then, when I have more time and I'm watching a movie, I'll go through the actual feed and see, like what people are talking about. But it was really big for me because within 1 year of Twitter, I got overwhelmed. I was like, I can't keep up with the feed anymore. The feed is just like too long, too big, and I can't look at all that. So lists, this really, really helped me. Really recommend doing that. And I use my Twitter account exclusively for Salesforce. So that's all I do in there is Salesforce. I now use Facebook for my cats and dogs pictures and yard and breads that I've been cooking throughout the pandemic. And Twitter is all like, Salesforce cool things that are happening. Also, if you like Salesforce swag, it's the place to be, right? There's always some kind of challenge or, there's hoodies giving away. Just recently, there was a multi-factor authenticator. I don't know if you guys did, but, I learned that on Twitter. If I wasn't on Twitter, I would not have got my little asterisk with the multi-factor authenticator there. And it's a good place to also connect. I met virtually some amazing admins and some amazing folks that have shared tips on implementations and challenges that they face doing similar projects. I really love Twitter now. Next is networking, right? You need to grow your professional circle. Once again, goes back to what we discussed a little bit earlier. If you if the recruiters and the hiring managers can't find you, how are they going to offer you the job? So you need to grow that circle, be able to, appear. Something on LinkedIn, if you find, let's say, a company that you want to work for, and start taking a look, who are the managers in there, right? Add them on LinkedIn and send them a message, right? You can do a note when you want to add someone and say, hi, I'm a new admin, or I'm a, senior business analyst. I love the work your company is doing. I would hope to connect. You'd be surprised by how many people actually respond to that. Just keep in mind that, people are busy too. So if someone doesn't respond to you, in a week or two, it's not because they're ignoring you. It's just because sometimes, there's lots of messages going on and your message gets bumped down. Don't be discouraged. Really, connect with those peers, right, in the industry and thought leaders. Very powerful networking. The best jobs are not available on a job posting. You'd be surprised by how many jobs never get posted. They're all a result of, having those conversations and really putting yourself out there. There's any statistic, when I was looking for a job back in the day, 85% of all jobs are filled through networking. So, the job postings that we see out there, they are less, than 30% of the jobs that actually exist. So networking is definitely, that big portion of it. And you have to go ahead and do that. Before I got my job at Aetna, I was interviewing with a consultant partner, and I've done a project with them, and I really like the way they conduct their project. So I thought, hey, maybe I should explore the Salesforce consultant part of it. Everyone says, until you've gone the consultant path and, baptism by fire, you don't know Salesforce as you should. So I emailed, I did like a little message on LinkedIn to one of the leaders of this consultant company, and I asked, hey, can I come over and just talk to you guys? I want to know a little bit more about what you guys do and how you do your projects. And he replied right away and said, yeah, come here on a Friday. I went there on a Friday. They had this really nice kitchen area. We had a beer. We talked. That led into an interview. Again, this position for consultant on that company was never posted, right? We talked, I got an interview, I interviewed with them. I was already reviewing the benefits package, and COVID hit and everything went on freeze and the world got turned upside down. But this is just an example of Through networking, I was able to go there, talk to the folks that can make those decisions, right? The hiring managers. That position never got posted. You would never find that online, right? If you are interested in learning and working for different companies, go out there and just really talk to them. You'd be surprised how many times you're going to get a positive answer. And at the end of the day, you grew your network, you grew your professional circle, and you just get more used to share your ideas. I used to be a big introvert, get cold sweats every time I have to do a presentation. Practice, practice, practice. Toastmasters was something that was very good for me. I learned a ton in there. Again, free online resource for those that want to get better at presenting and feeling more comfortable. Also, Trailblazer community. So I'm gonna hop over here. Gonna go to the Trailblazer community. If you haven't been here, this is another place to be, right? Here ties back to answering those questions, participating, posting, and doing lots of different things. Connect with different trailblazers. If you haven't, heard of Steve Moles, he is awesome. He's super funny. He is the king of formulas within Salesforce. You can probably build a formula for everything. Getting to know those folks, right? It's good. It's that ohana feeling, super important. Here, when we go to collaboration, you have your profile here. Make sure that you are following some groups. So these are the groups that I'm a part of it. I don't post a whole lot here. I end up, going more the Twitter route. There's no right or wrong, right? Find what works for you. But I come here religiously on Saturdays. I get my little email of all the, updates that happen during the week. And then Saturday mornings when I come here and I look at all those different posts, what's happening, what's not happening, new events or new features. Sometimes people are looking for folks for pilots or collaboration. Great place to be. So I kind of been in 21 of them now. So if you haven't done that yet, highly recommend come here and do that to get to know some of those folks.
And to add to this list, Igor, we do have a group for the job postings as well. So anybody who is looking for a new opening, new job, you can you can join that group and you can find all the job postings in there.
Perfect. And your local community group also should have a lot of postings, right? The Twin Cities here, I know all the companies in this region, they go there and post for job openings as well. Get involved, right? Again, go out there and start meeting folks. I know 2020 has been so hard to do any types of events, but we are able now to do online events. So I always try to join the Be an Innovator Challenge. Have you guys heard of the Be an Innovator challenges that happen? So Salesforce once in a while, right, when they're putting out new functionality that's big, this year, one of the biggest things that they released was the dynamic pages. We've been waiting a long time for that. How can I customize those lightning pages without having to have 25 profiles and 50 rows and go through like a very complicated process? On Twitter, as usual now, I follow this challenge, and they put out videos, and you engage with the community, you build some functionality, and you showcase for Salesforce. And this year, I was featured on the Salesforce admin blog, so it's a really cool way to get involved. And as a side, right, as a benefit, you get to know more about that functionality. And wow, some people build amazing dynamic pages that I was like, wow, I haven't thought about that, but what a good use case of that, right? That will really start helping you see how you can use that on your day within your organization. Also, I really like meetups. So, we run the Salesforce Saturday here. We do a lot of different events. Aside from just doing Salesforce things, right? As you break into the ecosystem, I really like the Agile Coach ones here in the Twin Cities, where we talk about Agile methodologies, how companies are doing projects. In the end of the day, right, if tomorrow you join Google, right, as a Salesforce developer, as a Salesforce architect, admin, business analyst, they use Agile. So this is something that I be, talking a little bit about. Make sure you're also acquiring different skills, right, to round up your professional experience. Learning Salesforce and getting lots of certs is really good, but knowing how to go out there and talk to them, right? Do a presentation, how to put a project together. All those things are super important as you evolve in your career. So getting involved with all these different groups really has helped me a lot. Here's what I get to hear a lot about projects that worked, projects that didn't work, why they didn't work, and how can we do better next time. Super collaborative environment, just like our Salesforce community. Follow industry experts. Another really important thing for you to build your brand. So, research experts in the roles, go online and find out if they have blogs, and look for people that are successful and examine what they're doing, right? If you want to really break into, like, say, be a flow specialist, right? I'm going to build the most amazing flows ever. There are folks out there that are doing that. So take a look at them, and what they're doing. I have here, 4 bloggers that I follow very consistently. I love their content. There's lots of different ones in there, right? First one, I don't know if you guys know her, but that's Jen Liu. Really go to her blog post, Queen of Automation. I can't tell you how many times her blog post saved my life when I was doing my admin work on how to get a case to be deleted when the account got deleted through a flow. Oh my gosh, like lifesaver. Salesforce Ben, I go there to get a quick view of new things that are happening. Lady B Architects, right? Gamma, she just did a whole, I think, 12-week course for free, like teaching folks how to be Salesforce admins and get prepared. And, I also like Dave Liu's content because at some point I do want to pass the PD one, but I'm not a developer. So, of course, I follow him very closely because I'm definitely the 99% of folks that don't know how to code. Again, get involved with them. I actually had the opportunities to, exchange messages one-on-one with each one of them, which, when I looked 6 years ago, I would never thought I would be able to talk to those folks. I was too shy. Oh, they're not going to listen what I have to say. Guess what? They all do. So again, go out there and really engage with these different folks. Now, we're going through a pandemic, so I have 3 different tips of interviewing in this virtual world, right? How to build a resume, how to find the right job, and video interviews, because those can be very daunting. I've been through a couple, and it's different, right, when you don't have that person, face to face. So to build your resume, make sure that you match the keywords to the job postings, right? Put relevant information in there. If you're looking for a Salesforce developer, right, make sure that you include Apex, that you know JavaScript, that you have those things on your resume. If they're looking for a business analyst, they're more interested in understanding, if you know how to gather requirements, if you might be, helping a product owner building features and breaking that down in user stories. So, if you don't have that in there, again, you're not going to be a good match in there. Reason why I say this is so important, a lot of the companies nowadays use AI to sift through resumes. And if your resume does not have the keywords on the job posting, you're not going to get to the next phase. And sometimes, you might be extremely qualified, but you just didn't pass to that first grading. Some jobs I've seen, in bigger companies, in one day we got 400 applicants for one position. There's no hiring manager or recruiter that can go through all 400 resumes. So your resume is going to go through the AI machine to see, you are 80% match, you are 90% match. So that first step is super important. One tip that I have is create a master resume and then create one custom resume per job posting. I have a master and it's like 7 pages long with all my experience. Every time I complete a project, I'm like, let me go back to my master resume and add that in there. Then as I'm looking for a new job, right, you're going to look at that master and you're going to take what's, relevant to this position that you're going to apply and add to that one. Your resume should be no bigger than 1 or 2 pages, right? Don't do a 3-page resume, 1 or 2 pages only. Also, use active language and then add numbers that quantify achievements. After your resume goes through that first step, what's going to happen is the recruiter is going to show your resume to the hiring manager. The hiring manager is really interested in seeing, all right, Salesforce, but what can you do for our company, right? And then they're gonna look, for example, oh, I implement email to case, and I eliminated inbox that had about 1,000 emails per day, increasing your ROI by 10%, or reducing the increasing the first time response by 20%. That's huge for the hiring manager, right? Because those are the things that they're looking for. What can you bring to add value to the company? And sometimes we see resumes that, you really talk about all the stuff that you know how to do, but it's important to tie that business aspect to it, right? How that benefits the company. And choose a simple format with a basic font. So, just really plain text, no crazy pictures, no nothing like that, because that interferes with that software that's going to, do that first grading on your resume. I've seen some, UX designer folks, they're super creative and I love what they do, but don't do that, right? On your resume, go for the simple resume. If you want to you can always attach a cover letter that can be fancy, right? That can showcase some of your UX, experience, or, you can have a link to your resume to a portfolio online where you can really showcase that. There's better ways to do that. Also, always use active language instead of passive. An example could be, I was tasked with mentoring new hires, right? You were a senior person in the company. That's like passive language. A better way to write that would be, I mentored new hires so they were better prepared for their role and understand the expectations, right? You want to always use the active language. I improved first case resolution by this much. Again, quantifying those things, super important on the resume. Now, finding the right job, this is super important, right? We hear all the time Salesforce admin, consultant, BA, developer, architect, but that's out there. And even if I go, to the Salesforce page, we see, all these jobs here. And I'm really glad they added marketing careers because, marketing cloud is a total different animal and you're going to be working with very different folks. So it's really nice that they really, adding new things here. But you can come here, you can take a look if you haven't done that yet. I love this page because, again, goes back to our first slide. Who do you want to be and what do you feel excited about it, right? If you don't like to, be doing this BA portion, don't do it, right? Go be a developer or go be a Salesforce architect, right? Find what makes you motivated because some days you're going to go through long hours of work, especially when you have deployments approaching. And, if you do something that you love, it's just not even going to feel like work. But there's lots of different jobs that you don't see in there. Lots of folks start as Scrum Masters or project managers. You have one here, right? I started as a project manager. You have product owners, Salesforce managers, Salesforce practice lead, Salesforce trainer. Their entire careers build around the Salesforce ecosystem that don't fit, just this bucket up here that you see out there. And, sometimes we don't even pay attention in this. And I have some examples here that I got to you guys. Sorry, the Zoom thing is, I stopped sharing. The Zoom thing popped in the, let me know if you guys can see.
Yeah, we can see it, Igor.
All right, let me try. Okay, perfect. So Salesforce trainer, I don't know if you guys knew that, but there's entire companies hiring you to put the content together to teach the users how to use Salesforce. You can build an entire career on that. Another example here, right? Salesforce Agile Product Owner, Blue Cross Blue Shield in Arizona. This was posted 2 days ago, right? You would not be looking just for those types of jobs. There are other jobs out there. Here is ZipRecruiter, right? The average for product owners, right? Sometimes you don't want to be like the consultant, right? You want to settle with a company and maybe really help them shape that Salesforce instance as a product owner. So, lots of different opportunities in there for we to, find what makes us happy, finding the right job. And now video interviews, right? First thing, practice, practice, practice. Choose a spot that's quiet, private, and well lit. I have a light behind my screen. I wanted them to be able to see my face. Position your camera at eye level. Try to look at the camera as you're speaking. Dress professionally. At the end of the day, it is an interview. You want your face ratio to be 10 to 20% of your screen. You want to make sure that you can see your shoulders. Body language is important on these types of interviews. Always use a headset. How many times we're in a Zoom call and folks are using, just the laptop mic and there's echo, there's, all kinds of background noise, right? You want to prevent that. And be prepared, because you're going always to get this STAR questions. Does everyone know what STARS stands for, and how interview STAR questions work? It's the situation, task, action, and result, right? Tell me about a time that you had a project and things didn't go well, right? They want to have those types of experiences. My tip for that is, I have 4 different implementations that I've done in the past, and I can spin those around, to answer most of these questions. So have those scenarios in your mind, right? Maybe you implemented Service Cloud, or you implemented CPQ, or you did a migration from Classic to Lightning, right? How did that project go? Did you have any challenges? Having those scenarios in your head will make you very comfortable when you're ready to do those video interviews. There's 2 types of videos interviews out there. One of those is when you hop on a WebEx or a Zoom and you can have a conversation with a person. With COVID, a lot of companies have been adopting different tools. One of the tools out there is HireVue. I don't know if anyone here had experience with HireVue. Those are interviews where you'll be looking at the camera and question will pop up on the screen, and you have 3 minutes to answer that question until the next one pops up. So, again, practice for those things. I personally don't like the HireVue ones. I always like to have that conversation one-on-one with interviewers. So, but, that's something to keep in mind. Now, really going quickly through my V2 Mom. So, make your introduction, who you are and what you're going to be doing. Then, I think it's very important to celebrate achievements. Sometimes we're doing projects and it's hard, and we think, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. Like, how many times we go through that? It's like, I don't know anything about this. I thought I knew and I don't. So I always like them to keep a little tab of things that I've done in the past. Like, wait a minute, I didn't know how to do a Lightning migration, but we did one, right? And we'll learn, and that just helps keep that positive perspective of things that you have done. The V2 Mom is important to have your vision. I've really got into the agile world and product ownership. I like to see the whole picture of how a system works. So this is really my vision for my career. I want to evolve and become a product manager, more on the strategy side of things. Find what's important to you. Might be a Salesforce developer, or you might like really working with Scrum teams and processes, and you didn't even know you want to be a Scrum master, right? I kind of stumbled across the product owner role. I had my mindset that I was going to become a functional architect, and here we are, right? I just shifted my career again and didn't realize I like this so much. Your values, mine are innovation, trust, and determination. I love going again, to the whiteboard of stakeholders, and then by the end of a session, we have this brand new solution that we had this broken process, and they were asking us to bring that into Salesforce, and I'm the first one to say, no, your process is bad. Let's fix your process, right? That innovation, how we do things different. Let's bring folks into the room. Trust, without trust, you're not going to get budget for the project. You're not going to get the buy-in for the users. In the end of the day, I'm building something for those users. And determination. Guess what? Most of the times we're going to be doing projects that we never have done before. It's not going to work the first time. It's going to go through a lot of different iterations until it's the right way, right? So having that determination is really important to me. Methods, right? This is how I learn, and this is how I'm going to achieve that vision. Community engagement, we covered a lot of that. Project experience, I work better in teams. I don't want to be a solo admin. Again, find what works for you, right? I have a friend and he loves working in, smaller companies because he loves to be the solo admin and runs the whole show, and that works for him, right? Again, find what works for you. And courses and training. Uh, this is my first Dreamforce was last year. I got to meet, a lot of the folks that I've been tweeting for a long time. Great experience. I've been really learning Agile to the core. Now I'm thinking about taking a mini MBA on design thinking, right? That customer-centric approach for, creating these different products. And of course, going to Trailhead and doing a lot of that. Obstacles, really important not to assess that. Fear failure, no one likes to fail. It's inevitable. At some point, we are going to try to do something. Either the timeline doesn't work, the budget doesn't work, or the solution, it's not quite there. Imposter syndrome, right? Sometimes you doubt your skills. I doubt mine all the time. And back in the day, I used to overthink a lot of that. Different ways to implement things, and that causes a little bit of paralysis. Trying to get better at that, hey, let's get something out there. At least we have, an MVP product, and then we can, build upon. That's important because, if we go back to the iPhone case, the iPhone 1 was released with 12 apps, if I'm not mistaken. There was no app store, and you could not edit or delete anything. Now we're on the iPhone 12 and we have thousands of apps. We have the App Store. We can do everything. But Apple, right, made a decision. We're gonna release this product on this state, and that's good enough for the version 1 of this product. So now I always keep that in mind. That it's better to have something out there and then get the feedback early from the users, and then improve that. Measures, right? This is my plans for 2021. I want to get 3 more certs. I really want to, get into that safe world, like I mentioned. We do our quarterly plan, really deliver all those items to them. Ties back to my value of trust. And really do more volunteer work and bring folks to Salesforce Saturday. And this picture here really resonates with me on the conclusion. I really like to work in teams, like I said, and coming together is a beginning, keeping together is a progress, working together is success. That's super important to me. One last thing I want to share with you guys. I know we have 2 minutes. In this virtual world, try to reinvent yourself. I took a risk when I was applying for this job because I knew it was going to be very competitive. And most likely when we're going to do an interview now, it's going to be through Zoom or WebEx. So you have an opportunity to kind of, pop out there and do something different. So when I was interviewing for CVS Aetna, I got into a call, a WebEx call, with 2 product managers. And I told them, hey, you can look at my resume, or, are you open to try something a little bit different? I want to, kind of showcase to you, who Igor is and what I'm all about. And I said, oh yeah, let's go ahead. We like surprises. They were super, excited with the interview. So I took the ball, I shared the WebEx, and I said, hey, I don't know if I got your color and your branding right, but I really want to walk you through, some slides instead of giving you a 6,000 word resume, because that's very boring. And if I'm going to be applying for a product owner position, right, what's important is that storytelling, how I engage with our stakeholders. So I presented this to them and said, I'm going to walk you through my mind map. I walked them through my certifications, my Salesforce experience. For them, right, they work on the safe environment. It's really important to understand what I know and how I have worked with safe and agile methodologies. Continuous learning is really important. So I walk them through these different groups and how we, review release notes and how we engage the community and keep everyone informed. Also, as a product owner, in the industry, that's very loosely used. I'm like, this is what being a product owner for me is all about, and this is how I help stakeholders, right? I get the, vision, those really big rocks, and I break them down into features and then tiny user stories for folks to build them. And all those together, right, it's what's going to give us that product. And, I liked the certification. So I did take the certification earlier this year and I passed. Then as a product owner, I see myself as a servant product owner. That book, The Servant, is a book that I read a couple of years ago, and I really love that book. As a leader, I need to be able to really help, the folks to be able to do their jobs, so removing obstacles. So I walk them, through this as well. And this all took, a whole 5 minutes of the interview. So, I walk them through how I see a product owner in 8 core functionalities. Then I thank them, ask them if they had any questions. The recruiter called me 20 minutes after that interview, and the recruiter, I remember saying, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what you did, but whatever you did, they want to move you, now like to the last round of the interviews or something like that." This was the fastest round of interviews I ever had. The whole process took 2 weeks until I got the offer letter. So, you have the opportunity, right, to showcase something different. So go ahead, and really show, who you are, right? Again, a resume is very boring. Once you got the interview, your resume is gone. No one cares about your resume anymore. Your resume, the main job is to get you the interview. From that point on, use your different, skills to showcase, what you do and what you're all about and what you can bring to this company. And that's all the content I had to you guys.
This is so amazing, Igor. This is an abundance of information. You cover almost everything. It's like a package of everything that you need. Thank you very much.
I want to see if anyone has any questions, or, feel free to connect with me again if you have any questions or want to follow up on something.
As I posted in the chat, all the recordings will be added to the playlist, and you can go and find all the previous recordings as well. I thank you all, everyone, once again for joining us today. And any questions after the session as well, feel free to reach out to me or Igor, and we will be happy to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a happy weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.